behind the polished photos, matching outfits, and carefully timed public appearances, there's a much quieter conversation happening right now inside the Bieber household. And it has nothing to do with music, fashion, or fame. It's about timing, stability, and whether bringing another life into the mix right now would be a step forward or a dangerous gamble. On the surface, everything looks calm, almost too calm. But according to whispers floating around people close to the situation, the topic of baby number 2 isn't some lighthearted future plan. It's a serious discussion layered with pressure, fear, and unanswered questions. Because while one side of the marriage feels ready to grow the family, the other is only just beginning to feel steady again. Justin Bieber has never hidden the fact that he wanted kids. He's joked about having a whole tribe, talked openly about loving the idea of fatherhood, and once imagined a big, loud family running around. But something changed after becoming a dad the first time. People close to him say it wasn't just joy that hit him. It was awareness. A sharper understanding of how fragile childhood really is, especially when it's lived under a microscope. Growing up in the spotlight forced Justin to deal with adult pressures before he ever had the tools to process them. Fame didn't wait for him to mature emotionally. It demanded results, perfection, and resilience all at once. And those experiences didn't just disappear with age. They followed him into adulthood, shaping how he sees responsibility, vulnerability, and protection. Becoming a parent reportedly brought a lot of that to the surface again. That's why the idea of expanding the family right now has people around him uneasy. Not because he doesn't want it, but because they believe he's only recently reached a place where he feels calm, balanced, and genuinely okay again. And when someone has fought that hard to get there, the fear isn't about moving forward. It's about losing that peace. Meanwhile, Hailey Bieber is navigating her own internal timeline. She's spoken before about always wanting to be a mother, even as a kid. And she's been honest about how difficult her first pregnancy and postpartum period were. That experience alone explains why this decision isn't simple. But it also adds another layer to the pressure she feels now. Some insiders describe her as anxious, not because of doubt, but because of time. The fear that waiting too long could shift the future in ways she can't control. That quiet worry that momentum matters. And somewhere in that mix, the idea gets floated that another baby could bring them even closer, grounding Justin further and strengthening the bond they already have. That belief, though, is exactly what's setting off alarms for others. Let's be real. Adding a child to a relationship doesn't erase stress, it amplifies it. Sleepless nights, emotional exhaustion, constant responsibility. When both partners are stable, it's hard enough. When one is still protecting their mental balance, the pressure can hit harder than expected. And that's before grief even enters the picture. Justin has never hidden how much his grandfather meant to him. Bruce Dale wasn't just family, he was stability during chaos, a grounding presence during Justin's most formative years. Losing someone like that doesn't fade quietly into the background. It reshapes your emotional landscape, especially when you're already navigating recovery. Stack grief, public pressure, mental health healing, and family expectations together, and the hesitations suddenly make sense. While all of this is unfolding privately, the internet has been doing what it does best: spiraling. And strangely, the focus hasn't even been on Justin. Out of nowhere, viral edits started circulating online. AI-generated versions of Hailey imagined as a man. Hyper-realistic, confident, sharp, and the reaction was immediate and unhinged in every direction. Confusion turned into fascination. Fascination turned into obsession. People joked they were catching feelings over something that technically didn't even exist. It sounds ridiculous, but the moment revealed something real. The public gaze had shifted. Instead of dissecting Justin's every move, people were suddenly locked in on Hailey's presence. Her posture, her confidence, her energy. Some joked that she'd somehow grabbed the heartthrob spotlight without trying. Others admitted the edits threw them off because they looked believable enough to spark genuine reactions. Not everyone loved it. A few tried to shut it down with lazy comparisons, but that didn't land. What stood out was how Hailey handled it. No defensiveness, no outrage, just a subtle, playful response that reclaimed the narrative without arguing with anyone. A single caption joking about wishing she had a brother for everyone to obsess over. Lighthearted, controlled, and effective. That response said more than 1,000 explanations ever could. It signaled confidence, not performance, not insecurity, just quiet ownership. At the same time, something else was changing. When Justin and Hailey traveled to Japan, the difference was impossible to ignore. Anyone familiar with older clips noticed it instantly. The tension people used to point out wasn't there. No rushing ahead. No visible irritation. No awkward distance. Instead, Justin looked softer, present, intentional. The energy during that trip felt warmer, calmer, almost like a reset. He smiled more, he spoke gently. He moved with patience instead of urgency. Fans who had criticized him in the past couldn't deny it. This looked like a different chapter. And it wasn't just about affection, it was about alignment. Justin openly shared how good the days felt, how much he enjoyed spending time with his wife, how excited he was. That kind of transparency hits differently when it comes from someone who's struggled publicly before. It wasn't hype, it felt grounded. Then came the business crossover. Justin casually mentioned his brand, Skylark, and people started noticing something new. Hailey wasn't just present, she was involved, designing, giving input, being included. She later shared how much it meant to her to be invited into that creative space, not for status, but because she felt valued. Watching Justin hype her up during that time didn't feel forced. It felt proud, supportive, like someone finally letting go of pressure and choosing partnership instead. Some people even joked he looked like he'd gone through media training because the change was so obvious. But the difference was simple. It didn't look rehearsed, it looked real. At the Tokyo pop-up event, the atmosphere said everything. Long lines in freezing weather, fans lining up before sunrise, Justin greeting people with ease, smiling without tension, moving through the space with gratitude instead of overwhelm. No chaos, no drama, just calm. That's the version fans have wanted to see for years, and it reframes the entire baby conversation. Because when you look at this chapter honestly, it doesn't feel like avoidance. It feels like intention, a decision to protect peace before expanding responsibility, a choice to prioritize balance over rushing milestones. Love doesn't disappear when timelines slow down. Sometimes it deepens. Right now, they don't look distant. They look locked in, comfortable, aligned in a way that doesn't need constant explanation. The internet can obsess over rumors, timelines, and speculation all it wants. But what's visible in real time tells a different story. This isn't a crisis, it's an inflection point, a calmer rhythm, a healthier dynamic, a relationship choosing stability before expansion. And in a world obsessed with speed, that kind of restraint might be the most mature move of all. Because sometimes the most important progress happens quietly,